All right, everybody. So this is the aftermath of the 2024 presidential election. I already did a video about the election from election night. So some of that information has now been updated, and we have more accurate information as to what the final results are. We can get a better understanding of, where the 2024 election currently stands. Now, anything is possible. If you don't know about the process for our constitutional republic, you'll definitely hear about it a lot on the news going forward in the next few, weeks to the next couple of months as they get closer to the election. Inauguration is January 20th. But before that, the electors actually have to certify the vote, meaning that they're locking in their decision for who they said that they would vote for uh, on election day. So the vote still has to be certified. At this moment, um, typically votes from the electors, whatever they say on election day, is pretty much always what they go with on the day they certify the vote. It's more just a formality to confirm that there's been no mistake. And, uh, that's actually a good thing because it gives time. If there's fraud, they have time to catch the fraud before they lock in a major decision that will affect the country for the next 4 years. So certifying the vote is actually a good thing. Anything could happen, things could change, but at this point, it doesn't look like anything's going to change. In fact, we actually see that the final results of the election have finally, after a couple of days now, the election was Tuesday of last week. At the time of recording this, it's actually Sunday, November 10th. So it's been a little less than a week, but it took several more days for them to finally come to a conclusion in Arizona and Nevada. But the final results are here, and this is what it looks like. So Trump's final count for electoral votes is 312, and Kamala's was 225, if I'm not mistaken. That actually might be 226. Let me just get a closer look. Yeah, so it's 226. Um, so at this point, it's clear that Donald Trump did, in fact, win the election. He not only won the Electoral College, which is really what our country is based on in terms of the voting system, because we have a constitutional republic, we rely on the Electoral College to determine the outcome of the election. The popular vote is really more of a formality for the people to let the electors know where they stand, and it's a secondary, backup because if the electors decide to go rogue and do whatever they want, if it doesn't correlate with the popular vote, then it will be clear to everyone that there is some sort of, fraud going on. So it ends up being better to have both actually because they complement each other. Um, so Donald Trump not only won the Electoral College, he won the popular vote as well. And I think that some votes are still coming in or some have to still be recounted, which is amazing because it's already been almost a week. But he did win, I think, by more votes than he got in even 2020. So this is the final for the election. Now, what you can see here is Donald Trump actually won every single swing state in the country. So there are seven, and that's Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Arizona, and Nevada. So those seven are the typically what we have come to observe of the as the swing states. And typically, we look at a lot of the presidential elections and we base them on the swing states. So out of the seven, whoever wins four typically wins the election because it's 4 versus 3, and that kind of gives everybody an idea as to which way the Electoral College is going to sway. So it's interesting because if you look back at some of the previous elections, we'll start with 2016. So this was 2016. This was the first time Donald Trump won. Now you can see it's all red and blue, and you have purple. Purple is for Maine. You'll only see 2 states pretty much look like that. That's Maine and Nebraska, because those 2 states basically can split the Electoral College. So almost, not every time, but many times, half the state votes one way, the other half of the state votes the other way, which makes sense because it's a 2-party system. You have 2 choices, Republican or Democrat. So people choose one of the 2, and it ends up being around a 50-50. And they give away, a portion of the electoral votes in the state to each party. So Nebraska and Maine tend to be split a lot of the time. And you'll see that in a second. I'll show you. But if you look at the Donald Trump won 306 electoral votes, and he won with 62 million votes for the popular vote. About 63 million, actually, because it's 62.9. So we're looking at about 63 million, right? Now, that was amazing because that was his first election and his first time running ever. And he won the first time, which is a pretty incredible thing for somebody who was not a politician. Many people who have won on their first time running for president have been politicians beforehand, or they were military generals, something like that. Donald Trump might be the first person in American history, besides, maybe George Washington. But at that time, I think Washington was already involved in politics. He just wasn't officially a politician for the American government because it hadn't been formed yet. But Donald Trump might be the first person in American history to not be a politician and run and win on his first time running ever. Because in the past, they had floated the idea in the 80s, and then I think in 2012, but he never officially made his announcement that he was running. This time he did, and he won, and it was pretty incredible that he won that many states, and that he actually won the country. But he got 306, which is pretty good because you only need 250 to win. But he ended up getting 306, which is excellent. Now that if you look at it, it's actually kind of ironic because Hillary Clinton got 232 electoral votes. Donald Trump got 306, and she got 65 million. He got 63 million, let's say. So she won the popular vote, but he won the Electoral College, and that's actually a good thing. Like, a lot of people might not understand how our constitutional republic system works, but it basically gives a voice to the voiceless. It gives a chance for the entire country to be evenly distributed their vote, versus all of the cities that are highly populated deciding the election outcome every 4 years for the rest of the country. There are a lot of people who live in the the suburbs and the country that don't want certain people in office. And if it was by population only, the cities have more numbers of people, naturally, than typically the rest of the states. Like New York City has more residents than the rest of the entire state combined. Same thing, I believe, with Chicago, for Illinois, and if I'm not mistaken, um, one of the other major cities. Could be Miami, I'm not sure, but there are several cities in the country where the city itself has more residents that live there than the rest of the state combined. So it wouldn't really be fair if everybody in the cities is dictating how the entire country is going to be run every election year. That's why the Electoral College system works better. So you can see that somebody can win the popular vote, but lose to the Electoral College, which is the real deciding factor. And that's actually a good thing because it's not a democracy, it's a constitutional republic. So it's not mob rule. Okay. Now let's jump over to 2020. So if you look at 2020 now, this is really interesting. 2016, we said Hillary Clinton got 232 votes. Donald Trump got 306. In 2020, it was the exact opposite. Donald Trump got 232 and Joe Biden got 306. And here's the really interesting thing. Joe Biden won the popular vote with 81 million votes, and Donald Trump got 74 million votes for the popular vote. So the amount of people that voted went up. Okay, it increased, right? It was 63 million versus 65, a little over 65.5 million. This time it went from 63 million to 75 million, about 74 million, right? So a little more than 10 million more. 2016, they had 65 and change, went to 81. That's a lot more. Now, there's arguments that can be made that the people voted for Joe Biden because they just did not want Donald Trump to take office. There was a lot of people voting. The single issue vote for them was just not him. They didn't want him to get in. So they cast their vote for Joe Biden. And that's how it went down as of now, and until Donald Trump gets back in office and maybe launches an official investigation into that. At this moment in time, that's how we're recording it for the history books. But it was the exact opposite with the electoral votes, 232 to 306. Now, if we look at 2024, it's a little different. You can see that it's not fully complete. The popular vote's not in because they're still counting them. But there's a lot of talk that as they're going through the votes, they're seeing that Donald Trump has won more votes for the popular vote than he did previously. So he broke his previous record in 2024 of 74 million, a little over 74 million. I think he's somewhere above 75 million at this point. So he's gotten at least a million more votes than he did previously. But the election's very different because this time he got 312. In 2016, he only got 306. What's also interesting is if you look at the election from 2016, Hillary Clinton got 232 electoral college votes. Then Joe Biden got 306. And then Kamala Harris got 224. So she actually got less votes than Hillary Clinton did in 2016 and also than Joe Biden did in 2020. So she was less liked by Democrat voters than the last two candidates for president, Hillary and Joe Biden. And what probably caused that was the Democrats didn't get a fair chance to choose their candidate. They never made Kamala go through the Democrat primary process, where the Democrat voters that are registered Democrats got a chance to vote to elect her for the person who would be running under the Democrat Party. So they probably feel like they got cheated. They didn't actually have a chance to choose their candidate. The Democrat Party chose that candidate for them and appointed them and basically said, we're not going to go through the traditional process. We're going to choose who we think the candidate should be, and you're going to be given the choice. Vote for this Democrat candidate or vote for the Republican candidate. Now, for most Democrats, especially if they're lifelong Democrats, they're likely not going to vote for Donald Trump. But if they feel they got cheated and didn't want to vote for Kamala Harris, they just wouldn't vote. So you might have had this election a lot of people who were registered Democrats who maybe would have voted for a different candidate like Gavin Newsom or somebody else who was a actual Democrat, like at the time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was running under the Democrat Party, if they let him actually work his way up to be the nominee for the party, maybe people would have voted for him, and it would have came down to Trump versus RFK Jr. But they ended up, basically pushing him out of that race as well, and he ended up moving over to the Republican Party to work with Trump. So it kind of backfired on them. And this is why our constitutional republic process is so important, because it gives everybody a fair chance. It even gives the people who maybe don't really like this country that much, maybe are a little bit more Democrat minded, where they think that we should be more like the socialist and communist countries out there. This is also a fair opportunity for them as well, because they get to vote for their candidate in the Democrat primary. And then at least the person who is running for president is somebody that they already pre-selected. So it's fair for everyone. This process, this Republican process for our republic, works for everybody, including Democrats. And when they're cheated of that, um, it shows, because it's likely the reason why she got less electoral college votes than the last two Democrat, you know, people running for president, um, and why she lost this election. Um, so that is basically that. Now, if you do look at 2020, which we saw already, and then 2024, you do see that both Maine and Nebraska were split. And 2016 was the only time that they weren't. Nebraska went full on Trump. But in 2020 and even 2024, it didn't. That's kind of interesting to me, that Nebraska didn't actually go 100% for Trump this time, but they did in 2016. So that's kind of interesting to me. But if you do notice, Donald Trump actually picked up an additional swing state. So in 2016, he didn't win Nevada. He won everything else, all the other swing states except Nevada. But this time around, he actually won Nevada as well. So he actually picked up an additional swing state. Now, if you look at this one, so now that's basically the election in a nutshell, the results. What you do see here is there are still some ongoing things that are happening. It looks like the Democrats are either doing one of two things. They're either fleeing and saying, we're going to jump ship now before Trump gets in, because we're not even going to waste our time, dealing with some of these issues. Like you saw, the Department of Justice dropped the cases against Trump. They're not even going to continue to pursue them now. They're saying it's a formality. It's basically because you can't investigate a sitting president. But that's I don't know if that's an actual law on the books. Anyway, I would have to look into that. But I don't know if it's actually a law on the books. But it could be. So there may be a technicality there. They might not be able to actually investigate him. So they're just going to scrap the whole thing. But you are seeing many people in the three-letter agencies, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and so on, already saying that they're going to be leaving, quitting their jobs or leaving their positions because they just don't want to work with the Trump presidency, or maybe they don't want to deal with when he comes in. Maybe he's going to, change some of them out anyway, let go of some of them, hire new people, or maybe even investigate some of them. So there might be a lot of fraud and cover-ups that they're trying to get out of Dodge for before they actually get investigated. But there is a lot of interesting things going on. If you look at Pennsylvania, which is one of the swing states, the Senate, there's an orientation process that happens with the candidates as they're being brought on to, that position. And the Senate orientation controversy over McCormick. So Dave McCormick won Pennsylvania, but Chuck Schumer is basically saying that Dave McCormick can't attend the orientation because there's 100,000 ballots that are still being counted in Pennsylvania. But they've already called Pennsylvania, and the electors um, already made their decision. So regardless of if they're still bringing in popular vote um, ballots, the electors have already made their decision and cast their vote. And if as long as they certify it, it doesn't really matter that these votes are still being counted unless there's fraud. If there's fraud, absolutely that could change things. But if not, it's likely not going to change the outcome of the state of Pennsylvania's decision for who they choose for president. So that's some interesting stuff that's going on there. It seems like Schumer's resisting some of this and not accepting the outcome of the election, which is kind of ironic because the Democrats have said, how Donald Trump didn't accept the outcome of the 2020 election. They made such a big deal about it for the last 4 years. And now many of them are not accepting the outcome of this election. So they're either hypocrites or they're being spiteful and they're trying to get back at Trump for not accepting the results of the 2020 election. However, Donald Trump didn't block anything. He didn't stop anything. He didn't deny the peaceful transfer of power. He, passed his power on to Joe Biden, who took office and was the president for the last 4 years. Now that's coming to an end. But during that whole process, Donald Trump didn't do anything other than, publicly say how he felt about it and, do some investigating, I guess, with his team. But other than that, he didn't try and block or stop anything. So it's kind of ironic and hypocritical of Democrats to be acting the way that they're acting when they were just saying the exact opposite thing. But anyway, let's look at this now. I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate because this seems like it's still ongoing, but they're basically saying that in the Arizona race, apparently the vote totals changed overnight. Now, that was something that a lot of people complained about with the 2020 election, with Joe Biden, how his numbers all of a sudden jumped in the middle of the night, and somehow he got the most amount of votes in American history. And even until now, so far, 2024, which is an even more polarizing election because it allows Donald Trump to get a second term, which is exactly what Joe Biden and his voters were trying to stop in 2020. Well, he ended up getting that second term anyway, but it was just delayed 4 years. But basically, the people were complaining that the votes jumped overnight, and that's how Biden got in, and he got 81 million votes, the most amount of votes in, I think, American history. And it hasn't been repeated since, not even this 2024 election. But apparently, there's maybe some shenanigans there with votes changing the election. Harry Lake apparently not getting her seat back in the Senate. So it looks like that he's going to be investigating all fraud and anybody who's up getting prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So I said this in previous videos. Anybody who is thinking about engaging in fraud, do not do it because you will get caught. And when you get caught, it's going to have major repercussions on your life. It's not going to be looking good for people because these investigations are still ongoing. Just because Trump won, I don't think he's throwing anything out of the way because he thought, oh, I won, I'm good. I think he's still investigating a lot of this stuff. And his team is going to be, prosecuting people who were involved in voter fraud. So we may see a lot of voter fraud uncovered over the next, 6 to 8 months, maybe, especially after he gets in. But this one looks good in the favor of the Republicans because the Colorado's a pretty blue state. Even this election, I'm pretty sure Trump lost that as well. But if you look here, it looks like the Republicans flipped the Colorado's seat, and now the GOP only needs one more seat from winning the House. So I think that battle's still ongoing. It's probably going to continue to unfold. and we'll see what happens. Maybe the Republicans do fully get the House as well, but at this point, they have Trump won the election with the Electoral College and the popular vote, and they won the Senate. Um, and he won a lot of judges. He also has the Supreme Court stacked um, pretty much in his favor at this point. But the House is the only thing. If he gets the House, he gets everything. And at that point, it's going to be really, really hard for the Democrats to, fight back against whatever is going to come out of this. Did see Trump tweet something about it, and we'll read it here. It's from about an hour ago today. It says that they won all the swing states, which we did talk about, and the popular vote, and apparently almost 7 million voters. So I guess by 7 million more votes than Kamala Harris, which is a bigger margin than I believe. Yeah, it's probably about the same. Yeah, it's probably about the same as Joe Biden won um, from Trump in 2020. So it looks like it's the exact opposite. This time, Donald Trump won by 7 million against Kamala. So that's going to unfold. And eventually, when they get all those numbers correct and all the votes are done being counted, I don't know why that takes weeks, but it will be official public knowledge and it'll be on that graph as well. But apparently they won 31 of the 32 statewide judicial benches as well. And every county in Rio Grande Valley, which was entirely blue 8 years ago. And he got 1 million more votes in Texas. Okay, so basically he got the judicial benches. He got the Senate, like I said, and the Electoral College and the popular vote. If he wins the House, it's going to be a clean sweep. It's going to be everything in his favor. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to get everything passed with a snap of his finger, because there are things that he could try and push forth that even his own party, the Republicans and certain members of Congress that are Republican, might not vote for or approve of. So if you're a Democrat, don't think that just because he gets in, he's going to get every single thing he wants passed in an instant because he has the House and the Senate. It just makes things a lot easier because people are already on his side by default. If they're a Republican, they're on his team. But it doesn't mean that they're going to vote the way that he wants. And this is something that's actually very different between the Republicans and the Democrats. Democrats tend to stick together very much, and they're very party aligned. The Republicans seem to be more about policy, which is a good thing, and that's actually the way politics is supposed to be. The Democrats tend to vote in unison, no matter what the bill is. They just, if a Democrat's putting it forward, they tend to vote on it. Not everybody, but most of them do. The Republicans tend to vote more based on if they agree with that policy. You have some Republicans that are rhinos, that are, they have a certain way of operating. You have some that are, war hawks. They love war. They want to go to war. They're going to constantly vote on things that says go to war, and they will not vote on things that says we don't go to war. So you do have a lot of fractures in the Republican Party, especially Congress, and many of them will vote different ways, regardless of whether or not a Republican is in office. But aside from that, I did see a lot of interesting things going on. First of all, you do have a couple of historical things taking place already. I think Donald Trump appointed the first female ever to his chief of staff position. So that is a historical moment for America right there. And for a lot of the Democrat voters out there that really care deeply about, policies for women, you should be really happy about that. That should be somewhere that we can align, because, he made history by doing that. Also, J.D. Vance's wife, I think her name is Usha. She is the first Indian American to ever be second lady. That's another historical thing that came out of this Trump presidency. So is a lot of things, especially for Democrat voters that maybe didn't vote in this election because they didn't want Kamala because they felt cheated, but they also didn't want to vote for Trump. You can at least you can at least feel good about some things that you care about, like women's rights and diversity and things like that. Um, the first female chief of staff has been appointed, and the first Indian American has been become the second lady. So these are things that we can align on, even though you didn't vote for Donald Trump. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that are about to come out of this. Already the market is up, crypto is up. Um, RFK Jr. is working on so many things. Already getting stuff in place. Just so many things are coming out of this. It's very, very interesting to see. There are some Democrat politicians, like I said, pushing back on all this stuff. But there are also a lot that are, um, you know, getting out of Dodge because they just don't want to deal with the storm that's coming. Um, so I don't think that Donald Trump's going to be malicious. I don't think that he's going to go and start, like the Democrats were saying that he's going to come after his political opposition and, punish them and stuff like that. That's the type of stuff that the Democrats have done to him for the last 4 to 8 years. They've used lawfare to try and destroy his life, arrest him, put him in jail. He even has a mugshot now. I mean, they've tried to bankrupt him. They tried to do so many things to take him down, and he just kept, going through. There are even allegations that they're responsible for the assassination attempts on his life because of their rhetoric about him. Maybe incentivized somebody to take action. Um, so there is um, there's so much that is going to come out of this where a lot of people who did do wrong are going to probably, be met with, um, the law in some regard, but rightfully so because it's righteous. If you do commit a crime, you do have to face the consequences. But I don't think Donald Trump's going to be going around and locking up all his political enemies and opposition. That's not going to happen, and that's going to be a bad look for the country. He's going to go and he's going to right wrongs. He's going to go after people who actually committed crimes and make sure that they face justice. That's all. He's not going to be going around wasting his time in battles with people constantly. He did that for 8 years already. I think right now he's probably more focused on fixing the economy and doing and fulfilling a lot of the promises that he said he would, like finishing the border wall and fixing the immigration problem, deporting a lot of the people who have come in already and are here now since the last 4 years. So we're definitely going to see where things are going to go, and we do have interesting times ahead. But if you're a Democrat out there and you voted for Kamala, or you just didn't vote at all because you didn't want to vote for Trump, um, don't be afraid. This is going to be a good time ahead. There's going to be a lot of great things that come out of this presidency um, that you will even benefit from. So hopefully going forward, we don't have to keep having this battle and this divide, and we can unite as a country and, seek the same goals, economic prosperity, freedom, and things like that, things that America was founded on. But yeah, I mean, this is interesting to see. I'm curious to see how things do pan out officially with the election results and what the final total number is for the popular vote, and what happens with some of the candidates that are still ongoing, like Carrie Lake, in the election process. But we're gonna see how all of that unfolds, and I'll probably end up doing a follow-up video, just maybe one more final video on everything with the election. And yeah, that's it. We're just gonna, take it day by day and see how things go. But I think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people who have waited for this to happen for so long. And by the way, he also made history again. I think he's only the second president ever to become the president a second time with a gap in between his first presidency. I think Grover Cleveland was the only other president to do that. He won his election in the 1800s, and then he lost the second time around, and then he won again the third time. But that was his second term. This is, I think, the second time it happened. So it's really kind of interesting things that Donald Trump has done. And he's even written books like The Art of the Deal, and how he um, negotiates and figures out how to get media attention and stuff like that. These are all tactics he used to win both times, but the first time he won. Then he wrote another book called The Art of the Comeback because he was facing bankruptcy at one point years ago. He got out of it. He made a comeback. And look at this. He made a comeback a second time politically. And don't forget, he only ran one time before. And he wasn't a politician previously, and he won on his first try. Now he just made history again by winning the second time with the gap in between. Like I said, I'm pretty sure only one other president has ever done that in American history. So it's really, really quite interesting to see just how many, firsts this man has actually accomplished in his, 2 terms, and he's not even into his second term yet. But we're going to see there's definitely a bright future ahead. Keep, have faith and, just focus on positive things in life. Focus on doing things that are going to benefit you, your family, and the country. And don't get caught up in all this craziness, because hopefully this is not going to be like last time, where half of everybody's attention was staring at the news, listening to somebody talk smack about the opposite side. Hopefully this time a lot of it is focused on fixing America, and all the cool things that are going to come out of this, and all of the things that will hopefully benefit the American people. But yeah, we're gonna definitely do another follow up here just to see how everything panned out. But obviously we'll all know because it'll be public knowledge and it'll be on the news every day. But that's it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one. All right, everybody, I just want to take a moment to promote my children's book. This is Little Boy Full of Love. That's me on the back. And this is a little sneak peek on the inside. It's a great book. It's a children's book. I actually wrote this for my son, and it's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Bookshop.org, and a lot of other online platforms. But more importantly to me, it's actually available in a lot of bookstores throughout the country. You can find out which ones are closest to you on my Instagram page. We highly recommend that you shop local, buy from a local bookstore. So if you are looking to, get a children's book for you or anybody you know, or even with the holidays coming up, it's a great time to, buy a children's book as a gift. Definitely get it from a bookstore that's local to you. But if you absolutely can't get it from one of the bookstores that are currently carrying it right now, and we're in about 15 or 16 different states across the country, so it may actually be in your state, and it could even be local to you. But if you can't get it from the physical bookstore, check out our Amazon storefront. The book's available on there right now. And like I said, with the holidays coming up, you may want to do your Christmas or Hanukkah or holiday shopping early, and you can even order it from our Amazon storefront and ship it directly to whoever you're gifting it to. But it's available on those platforms, Amazon storefront and bookstores and other websites that I mentioned. But I want to take a moment here to look at the storefront just to give you an idea of some other stuff that we have available on there. These are products that we highly recommend. They are things that we use in our daily lives, and it's all organized by category. So it's a lot easier to, shop for the holidays and specifically for things that interest you, particular categories. Available right now, many different items on our storefront. You can see here, 61 items just in women's apparel, fall decor, because right now we're in fall, 26 items, kitchen items, baking specifically, things for around the house, children's toys, even stuff for parties. If you're trying to save money on a party and throw in your own, occasion, you can even buy some cool gadgets here to help you, put on a better party. Health and wellness items here, even stuff for Christmas. And there's the book right there. So you can get it from the storefront. You can get it from the bookstores, like I mentioned. but it's available on all these different platforms. It's really easy to find and gift to somebody. Also, I want to show you the apparel shop, and these are some clothing items that we actually produce. So if you're looking to get some cool apparel items, shirts, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, leggings, even accessories, cell phone cases, women's makeup bags, fanny packs, coffee mugs, all different types of stuff, even some, art, all different categories here, apparel, homeware, accessories, drinks, even digital items. It's all on this store, healthybodygoodssoul.com. Anything that pertains to you or somebody that you're looking to get a gift for the holidays. A lot of great designs on here, a lot of cool designs that we actually custom created. Stainless steel water bottles, especially now with the fall and winter. A lot of cool hoodies and long sleeve shirts. This is a really cool one, I think, for women. The original Be Your Soul apparel, that one's actually really popular. People tend to like that. This one's one of my favorites. The free shirt. It's the American flag, and it says free, and that says not property of the United States government. That one's pretty cool. Got all different types of tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, tote bags, coffee mugs, even some items for kids, backpacks. So if you're the type that likes to, plan ahead, I would definitely recommend ordering from the Amazon storefront or the apparel shop within the next couple of weeks to get everything in time for the holidays. Use code SAVE15 on the apparel shop to save 15% off everything on the storefront. So order within the next week or two, and you'll definitely have everything in time for the holidays. Definitely check out all the links to everything, the Amazon storefront, the book, and the apparel shop in my bio on all my platforms, Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. But you can also find them in all the show notes for every episode that I post and get all your orders in time for the holidays. All right, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps the channel continue to grow. And put in the comments things that you would like me to talk about and make videos on for the future. And I will definitely do my best to do that. Stay tuned for the next one.